How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. I want to show you what Donald Trump just said about tariffs and what he's going to reveal tomorrow. There's still some uncertainty about it, actually a lot of uncertainty, but he did give some thoughts when pressed about questions about tariffs recently. So I'll play that for you. We can talk through it. Also, the market is rebounding. The Nasdaq's up almost 1% here today. Bitcoin's up about 3%. Altcoins looking pretty good too. So we'll talk about this along with the bit of news that we have in the market, a little bit of news of some GameStop news as well. They actually raised more capital than they were expecting. If you don't mind, hit subscribe so you can see future videos just like this. If you want to go to the Bitcoin conference, there's a link to get 10% off underneath the video. It's an awesome time. It's in Vegas, so check it out. Also, there are links to some trading platforms, BTCC, BitUniX, WEEX, and Blowfin. They're underneath the video. We'll talk more about it later. But as you can see, NASDAQ up about 1% here. And crypto's doing pretty well too. Bitcoin's been right around 84.9 to 85.3 pretty much all day. It's up about 3%. Ethereum outpacing Bitcoin for the first time in a while, up about 4%. And then you can see some other altcoins just, keeping up essentially with Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin's leading the way a little bit here today, but altcoins basically keeping up with it. Today has been hard. It's April 1st, so a lot of people making April Fool's jokes, which if you use Twitter for information, this is like the worst day for it because you have to parcel through so much crap. I don't think this is true, but the article says Trump pardons Sam Bankman-Fried, founder of FTX crypto exchange. I don't think that's happening, but yeah, just be on the lookout. There's a lot of fake news here today. Something that does seem like it's real news is Israel eliminating tariffs on U.S. goods, according to the PM office. So obviously tomorrow is the big day for tariffs. Everyone's been watching it. The stock market crashed yesterday or fell down like 2.5%. At least the NASDAQ did. Bitcoin held up fairly well, I think, actually, when you consider that like Amazon was 4% down on the day. We see a lot of stocks, a lot of high-flying tech stocks actually beaten down. Yeah, Bitcoin didn't move too much. This kind of clarity is good for the markets. That might have been part of the reason we saw a bit of a rally today. We obviously know that there are a lot of people that are buying Bitcoin as well. We talked about this, but so many entities, right? From GameStop, who's going to buy here soon, MSTR, Metaplanet, BlackRock. We had Tether buying 8,888 Bitcoin. GameStop just announced that they raised $1.48 billion from their convertible note offering. I'm sure they love this. They love to raise capital over there. They've diluted shareholders so much. And this is a little bit different because it's a convertible note offering, so not diluting right away. You can see 1.48 billion. They had listed 1.3 billion, so obviously oversubscribed. There's a lot of demand for this. Pretty exciting stuff. They're going to go out and buy a significant amount of Bitcoin here very soon, in my opinion. Maybe they'll start today. Who knows? By the way, if you do want to trade crypto, there's a link underneath the video, like I said, to Blowfin, to WEEX, to BTCC. BTCC and Blowfin have 10% deposit bonuses right now when you use my link. And WEEX has up to 800,000 USDT that you can get part of, just depending on your trade volume and also depending on profitability. So you can definitely check that out underneath the video. But as you can see here, we are bouncing off of this trend line. Nice to see. I would love to see a new higher high as well. It would be great if we could push above 89,000, which is about where the 50-day moving average is. 50-day EMA sitting at now 88,000. But you can see some prior resistance or some prior supports that turned into resistance around 89,000 as well. So be on the lookout for that. Obviously, everything is coming back down to tariffs. Everyone has their eyes on what Trump is going to do tomorrow. Apparently, it's coming out after the market closes. He gives some thoughts from the stock market to the specifics on the tariffs. Let me play this for you, and we'll talk about each clip. There are 4 clips I want to show you.
We are going to be very nice by comparison to what they were. The numbers will be lower than what they've been charging us, and in some cases, maybe substantially lower.
CBS News.
Okay, short one, but that was from yesterday, giving a little bit of information, right? They're going to be nice. They're not going to slam the tariffs on but we'll show the next clip and we'll talk more about this.
Economic experts in international trade say that it's highly unusual for an announcement to be coming in 1 or 2 days and not to have any details about which countries are impacted and how much each country will face when it comes to tariffs. And President Trump took several questions about this last night in the Oval Office, and he did not reveal any of that information, even though, of course, reporters pressed him over and over. What he did say was that if you charge us, we're going to charge you. And he said the word reciprocal is very important. But then he went on to say that the U.S. is going to be, quote, a lot nicer than those countries that will face.
So they're going to tariff the countries that tariff the U.S., but they're going to be nicer. So who knows? I think in the past he said that they were going to match tariffs or even go above what other countries are tariffing. So now it sounds like basically, hey, if you're going to tariff us, we're going to tariff you, but we might be a little bit nicer about it. Instead of tariffing 25%, maybe we'll tariff 5% or 10%. I think they're keeping things a little bit flexible right now. Let's play the next one.
Also set to go into effect tomorrow, 25% auto tariffs that could increase the price of a new car by $5,000 to $10,000. On that note, CBS News senior White House reporter Jennifer Jacobs, he's tracking all of this.
That's crazy. An extra $5,000 to $10,000. Obviously, cars are already so expensive now, especially with higher interest rates. Honestly, depending on the car, if interest rates come down to help spur on growth, and they're $5,000 or $10,000 more, it might actually be cheaper, depending on the length and depending on the price. If interest rates come down a couple percent, maybe it's fine for consumers. But the fact is, like, it's just very unaffordable for most people to get any kind of a new car now. Even if they can quote unquote afford it, it's just such a large part of their income, especially with interest rates being so high. It's crazy. So I would not want to be a car manufacturer that gets hit with this extra tariff. That's going to be terrible. Tariffable. It's going to be, they're going to pass it on to consumers too, at least as much as they can. But I'm sure that they're going to have to discount because no one really wants to buy a new car. I mean, there are some people that are doing really well, don't get me wrong. But yeah, that's going to be difficult.
And has the global stock market sell-off caused the White House to rethink any of these plans?
The president has always said that the stock market is a snapshot of a moment in time, and he's doing what's best for Main Street, and Wall Street will work out just fine in this administration, just like they did in their first term.
Okay, so they specifically asked, like, hey, with all this uncertainty, with the fear of tariffs, that causes the market to fall down. Does this concern Trump at all? And they said basically it will work itself out. Personally, I think it will work itself out over time. I think this is more of a temporary setback. And I think, honestly, Trump might like this a little bit, as crazy as it sounds, right? I know people that are really thrown off by this and hate what's happening. It's affecting their portfolios, and maybe they're close to retirement. And they blame Trump for this. And it makes sense. He's the one that's causing the uncertainty. However, I think at the end of the day, Trump wants rates lowered. People around him want rates lowered. That will spur on more growth, and that's why he's trying to push this to happen. And obviously, there are other reasons for it as well, right? But I don't think he really cares too much if the stock market falls temporarily, because if anything, it might actually help lower interest rates, make Jerome Powell more likely. And you can actually see, even in the last day, we covered this yesterday too, but in the last day, the probability of a rate cut increased on May 7. Now, not a huge increase, 12.4% to 15.6%, but that's something. And then the amount, or the probability of 50 basis points by June increased from 8.8% up to 11%. So it's changed a bit. There's a lower chance that we get 0 rate cuts than there was a day ago. So yeah, it is interesting to see all this happening. I think we're going to see a lot more certainty tomorrow. Well, we're obviously going to see more certainty. Now, I'm not saying that this is the end of the tariff fears, but I think it's going to provide a lot of clarity. It will stop some of the uncertainty, But also, I think there could be some back and forth, right? If Trump says, hey, we're going to tariff these 50 countries, and these are the rates we're going to tariff them, there might be some negotiation back and forth. There might be some countries that say, hey, we'll take off tariffs or we'll reduce them to this level if you take off your tariffs. And there might be some back and forth. So I'm sure there are going to be more updates. This is not the end of tariffs by any means. I think there's going to be more rhetoric, more back and forth in the future. Let me know your thoughts on all this, though. Just in general, I think even if we get what the market expects on tariffs, whatever analysts are projecting, right? If they project, I don't know, a certain amount of tariffs on these certain amount of countries, and we get that, I think the market actually rallies because there's less uncertainty. There's less chance of a catastrophic outcome, even if it's not positive. Companies can shift assets around, can move manufacturing, and maybe it doesn't affect earnings quite as much. Right? And just, again, with less uncertainty, the market prices in, I think, more optimism. Right now, funding rates are negative. The market is negative. You can see that on Blowfin here. If you want to trade, the market's still bearish. The market is still bearish. Don't get me wrong. And by that, I mean investors are bearish. But typically, that's a pretty good time to be going long, to go play some long trades. So if you want to check that out, there are links underneath the video to these different platforms. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.